Recovering Queen, the Queen fan podcast where we talk about and play the songs we love. With Jay, Matt, and Ian.
Welcome to Recovering Queen, the Queen podcast where we take a famous or not so famous Queen song, do a cover version of the Queen song, and then talk about what we've learnt about the methods and the madness of the greatest band the world has ever seen and heard and listened to and covered and all that jazz. Queen. My name's Ian, and with me, as ever, are Jay and Matt. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello, Ian. Good evening.
Hello, Matt.
I think you're padding out your part there, Ian.
Well, Natch. Get a few extra seconds in. Extra royalties for me. And joining us from all the way from the other side of the earth and the future, it's Mr. Tim Robinson. Good evening. Afternoon.
It's morning, Ian, but good evening to you.
Good evening. Well,
good day.
It's always sometime somewhere, isn't it? So what a
happy birthday to the listener out there.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
whose birthday it is today. Yeah, happy birthday.
Absolutely. So, Tim, welcome. Would you like to put everyone out of there people who haven't read the title of the podcast and haven't seen Matt's lovely artwork telling us which track it is? For those listeners, would you like to tell everybody which track we are talking about this evening / morning?
I'd love to. From one of my favourite Queen albums.
Top 15.
Tonight we're talking about the musical oddity and lyrical abomination that is Party.
Party.
You can't give too much away at the front end here.
Off of the miracle. It's that time at last. We have kept everyone waiting for a very long time to do this track. The Mercury May Deacon Taylor jam session, probably led quite a lot by Mercury, that turned into a fully fledged song.
Wow. Yeah, do you think Roger was ever at that jam?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
It feels a bit like when we covered I Can't Live With You. It's like it's so programmed, aren't they? The drums.
Oh, it's horrible.
I think it might be my least favourite. Just right at the top. It's probably one of my least favourite drum programming I've ever heard.
Really? Oh, I think I Can't Live With You just tops that for me. But I know what you mean.
What, really?
Yeah.
I mean, God Christ,
those terrible. Anyway, there's a whole podcast dedicated to why we don't like that one.
Yeah, I mean, is it a song? I think that's for me. It feels very much like a jam session. It feels like we're trying to turn this into a song, but it isn't really, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I wouldn't say that was a terrible thing to do. In fact, I think it should have gone the other way. I think they should have made it more jammy and less produced, and then it would have kind of felt sort of quite novel, I think. But by trying to turn it into a song when it really is just a jam with undeveloped ideas, it falls a bit flat for me. I think that's my first problem with it.
Well, yeah. Well, we've got two versions of the song today, Tim and mine. So we've both done one, and it seems like, actually, taking what you just said there, Jay, we've gone down the two different routes that you're thinking. I've gone down way more of a jammy route, so it feels like I did it. So I thought, I'm going to record this as quickly as possible, and so I did it as if it was like a live song that they're kind of making up on the spot and getting the crowd going. And I think Tim's gone the opposite direction, where he's like really orchestrated it, got a little bit of jazz swing in there.
Sounds a bit like the After Party, Tim's version.
You're making it sound like some massive opus that
I don't think you could ever turn Party into an opus.
Yeah, I mean, I think Freddie's, giving it absolutely everything, and Brian's put in a lot of effort at the end with some of the guitar stuff to make it more songy. Yeah, but it's lacking in a few areas, shall we say?
Well, it's lacking in. There's only two chords, or maybe three chords if you count the sort of truckers modulation halfway through to take us give a little bit of excitement to it, and then everything else is there's nothing really to sort of hold on to other than the strange Do you think it is a lyrical idea, this idea of saying party, 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 and every time it gets to the end of the phrase, you've got this hungover, party is over. So it's got this kind of, partying's okay, but it always ends up with a hangover.
Oh.
Is that a deliberate sort of lyrical trick?
An onomatopoeia type thing where it's expressing the guitar in Delilah being another one, that type vibe.
Yeah,
because that works so well.
That's a really interesting idea, I think. But for me, it always sounded like they're just trying to experiment with like melody. That's what I always felt party was. It's sort of like, especially Freddie's stuff,
or an experiment in harmony almost, because I think it's another thing where Sam Swallow could talk about cluster chords on this. The opening harmonies. What is Freddie singing at that point? It just seems like three adjacent notes. With the melody note being the highest.
Yeah, well, I got some slightly dodgy sheet music, and it seems like it's like a bit of a ninth chord.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
And so that's what I went with my one. I sort of, I thought, what's sort of something slightly jazzy? I'll a few ninth things, and I think one of the chords is maybe a ninth add 2 or something like that. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, you can keep going. I think one of Stockhausen's students managed to get every single note in a chord, like a big, one of those cluster chord, 12-tone chords. But hey, we digress. I think if you've been a songwriter or a producer, you know this trick very well. When you haven't got a very good song, and so you just end up sticking as many little party tricks in it as possible to kind of compensate. Yeah. Like, this isn't the type of song where you could go, I'm just going to play it on an acoustic guitar. Take Yesterday by Paul McCartney.
Good song.
You can get an acoustic guitar and play it, and it sounds good. It sounds really good, or on a piano, or you could get a brass band to play it, or you could get an orchestra player, and it still sounds great. Because it's a really good song. But Party, there can be only one setting for it, and that's the setting that they've managed to do, which is basically just chuck all the kind of production techniques that you can think of that just about go with it, just to pad it out. It's like they should have abandoned it quite early on.
They were obviously quite happy with it, Matt. I mean, it opens the album. That's what I don't understand.
I know, it's astonishing, isn't it?
I know it feels like an opener as a track, in that it's a statement of intent. But I would have been inclined, when you think there are some pretty good tracks on there to open with, I would have maybe hidden it somewhere personally. But
I mean, this is Queen coming back after a 3-year absence, isn't it?
Yeah, they're excited about it. I'm sure they're excited about it. This
is what we were confronted with. I can't remember hearing this for the first time at the time, but I imagine I must have been pretty horrified.
I do.
I can remember hearing it for the first time. I remember putting it on, and because it sort of starts off, it's quite exciting, I suppose, when it starts off. It really piqued my interest. I thought, this is really unusual. Funnily enough, I don't really remember being offended by the lyrics the first time I heard it. And I was a tad younger then, mind you. Yeah, it sort of didn't live long in my playlist.
Yeah, I think that was exactly the same for me. It was like it's sort of a firework fizzling out, wasn't it? Because I'd been waiting for so long,
That's right.
And I remember it, and this was like probably my peak Queen days in a way, because I was. It's all post Queen now, but at that time I was in the middle of the Queen world, and Freddie was around, and I was very excited about this coming out, and so I was taken up with it. I did think when I put it on, I thought, the big sound, they're back, and I was very excited about it. It just didn't hold any more than one listen.
But it was The Miracle was the first Queen album I had on CD, and so when that started, it was sort of like super clear and everything like that. And
it was always very confusing to me that it went into Khashoggi's ship, because I was never sure if it was the same song or not, because Freddie's like, hey, who said that my party was all over? And I think, well, is it all over or is it not? Is this the same song? And I was...
I hate that.
Do you know what? I mean, the Khashoggi ship and party really shouldn't be separated, I don't think. I think they are part of a song cycle. Lyrically, they've got, who said that my party was all over, and it's like, you've just got you've got to have the two songs together. And as a result, I think it opens a Queen album really well because it follows in the tradition of Queen doing crazy opening songs on their album. Let's face it, Jazz starts with Mustafa in mono for the first
minute,
for longer than Party. Yeah. And it's like, so it's not like it's unprecedented for Queen to start with something odd at the beginning. Day at the Races starts with some kind of shepherd tone thing going on, and then that there's a lot of weird starts. But this track, I just think it probably suffers more than any other track. The production sound as well. The Miracle, I think, is up there with my least favourite productions on a Queen album. The actual production style, and Party is perhaps the worst offender. It's there's nothing really to kind of go, oh, that sounds fantastic. The guitars are the guitars are okay. The guitars are actually there's some nice bits of guitar playing in it. But again, it seems like Brian trying to save a song,
or
perhaps
to me, it's
maybe wasn't strong enough in the first place.
Trying to show us the works, to paraphrase Queen, in one song. They're trying to do everything because they've got the whoa, 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 the classic Queen harmonies in there. Then they've got some, as you say, some Brian proper guitar riffage going on, but he's also got some of those the modern guitar orchestrations which we don't like through a harmonizer going on, and they try and rock it up, but Roger's not on it. It's just to me it's just a mess, and all those Freddie improvisations as well. There's thousands of them flying left, right, and centre all the way through. And I know there's been good chat on Twitter this week about, is there too much Freddie improvisation? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And I think this is another track that suffers from that.
Yeah, I actually didn't try any of those improvisations. I remember some of your previous discussions said how bad they sound. So
it is a challenge to do a convincing Freddie.
They're impossible to do.
It's incredible.
I thought I was thinking in my mind I could stand way away from the microphone. But I don't think it was going to work.
No, they're incredibly difficult to do. I think the moment that they're not in the moment, you intrinsically know they're not in the moment, and the moment you're not a great singer, it just sounds like
it helps to be Freddie Mercury to be able to do those.
It does, yeah. If you're Freddie Mercury, you sound great on Queen songs.
Even at a young age, when I listened to this, I remember thinking I was slightly a bit embarrassed as well, because I thought they're quite old, singing about having a party, and I was thinking, is that cool? And it's almost like the sort of runty son of "Don't Stop Me Now" or something, where in the 70s you can sort of go, yeah, you're having a big party there, and we've all heard about the big parties and New Orleans parties and all the what went on, but you're still doing it. I suppose it's like 10, 11 years later, and even when the party finishes, we know Freddie had a rapacious appetite for party, and I do admire that somewhat, but I don't know. It's I think some of the lyrics, and I think you alluded to it earlier, Tim, about what you thought about the lyrics, and we had sex, we had a food fight. I'm like, oh my god! It's like fair play to them for like singing it out loud.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's inherently uncool. Like, one of the things I thought about with my version is, like, I imagined like the Las Vegas Rat Pack, as Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. And they would have been having parties. They would be doing it all. But they weren't singing about it. And like the got sex line, I don't know about you, but from the very beginning, I don't know why Brian's sort of thin, shaky voice is so high in the mix. Like, oh God. It's so creepy.
Yeah, it's when there is something terrible when Brian is the person that is leading on that kind of, because I reckon that is such a Brian line as well. It's like, we got sex, and it's like, no, Brian. Honestly, it's so wrong.
I mean, what they were pushing 40 at this time.
No, I think they were early 40s.
The early 40s.
I think they must have been late 46. Was he born? Yeah, 43.
Oh, come on. We can still party, right?
You can. It's,
right,
I don't
guys?
want to be a grump or anything, but
I think maybe we're all missing a point here, because I was gonna ask Tim why he thought the lyrics were so bad. But I go back to my point of, are we missing the fact that the lyrics aren't about how great it is to party, but how destructive parties are? It can't be a coincidence that the end lines are always negative.
No,
they're always
Matt,
I'm hungover.
No.
No, I disagree. Yeah, it's all about partying.
So Matt, we've been all through this. We don't stop me now. I thought we'd.
But I thought this is more explicit. This is even more explicit than "Don't Stop Me Now."
Is it a desperate cry for help?
But in terms of the lyrics that I don't like, the food fight that you mentioned, I think that's probably Queen's worst lyric, and that it's in the face of a nameless nobody. It makes it worse. Food fight in somebody's face, and I find that so vulgar. And like only 2 albums earlier, they're singing about all the hungry mouths we have to feed, and now it's food fights in somebody's face. It's beyond terrible. And even 2 songs later on the track "The Miracle," they sing about we can all be friends. Unless you are a nobody, then I'm custard pie in the face.
But I mean, in
so
the context,
bad.
it was the 80s. Now, the decade of glamorous excess, loads of money, to flaunt it, to show it off was, it was a good thing back then. I mean, this is very late 80s, but are we missing that context? Was it a good thing to flashing the cash around? And
But I never really liked that anyway in the 80s. I mean, just because a lot of people did in the 80s, it was still not seen as very cool, was it?
In fact, it was seen like I mean, Harry Enfield made a really successful joke out of it. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? Really, I think this paired up with Khashoggi's Ship, because Khashoggi's Ship, which we'll get onto probably next season, if it is part of that song cycle, that has even more problematic lyrics along the lines that you're talking about, doesn't it? Really, because it's so. If we're taking the two together, yes, that there is some really problematic lyrics in there. But I just can we take it that seriously? I mean, it's just a bunch of lyrics thrown together to just about get through the first 2 minutes of an album.
It's only a bloody record.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Freddie's voice, I think, in many places sounds as rough as guts. So I think he's been living it while he's been singing it.
Very, very possibly. It is a tremendous, I mean, it's an unbelievable performance. Every single line he's belting out with just such force. It's incredible.
Yeah, you can't knock the vocals, can you? I mean, brilliant. Absolutely.
Yeah, the
power all the way through.
What he's singing and what he's singing on, bit difficult. But the performance itself is astonishing.
Like all the close harmonies, because it's sort of like a not a natural rhythm, the original Party song, and so all the close harmonies that he does on those really odd rhythms, I think is just amazing.
Yeah, the accuracy, the rhythmic. We've mentioned it in virtually every song, but the rhythmic sync that Freddie has with himself, along with just how in tune he is always just astonishing.
I should point out that I didn't transpose the key for my my version, and but I did start an octave lower. So,
right. That often helps.
But I did come across the Freddie paradox, because I went through and did a rough thing. I thought, here's the high bit. So I thought, if I could hit that, that'll be great. And so I did. And so I started recording everything. And then there was a load of it. Oh my God, I've really got to drop down to make that, but just managed to squeeze it in.
They should come with they should have a warning, shouldn't they, at the start? Do not attempt, if you don't have a 4-octave range, do not attempt these songs. You won't go far wrong.
Now, there is the rock version, isn't there, from the Miracle Sessions, available on the Spotify to listen to. I mean, it just sounds, it's a little bit like the Breakthrough version, and that where they've just kind of put Rogers actually drummed on them. If anyone's listened to that,
no, haven't.
I think it's a slight. Right. I would say if anything, it improves it.
This time round, it improves it. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was I Can't Live With You, where we didn't like what had happened with that, but. It just sounds like Roger's played a little bit of it, and they've done some cutting and pasting with some of the fills from Roger, I think.
I look at things like that and just go, it's like bad money. It's like good money after bad, isn't it? It's like how you basically, it's very hard to polish a turd. It's going to be
Yeah.
You know, we could take it away and go, and there's a version where Freddie plays piano on it and Roger plays like real acoustic kit and it's live in
just
the studio.
over the top of it.
It's still going to be terrible,
Yeah, yeah.
annoyingly.
Yeah.
It's funny. Trying to polish a turd was what came to my mind when I was thinking what I'm going to talk about on this podcast. So I'm glad you got it in.
So, Tim, can I ask you why did you decide to cover Party then and not another track?
Well, I was planning on doing another track. I'd started working out, because I thought I loved doing different versions, like not doing a true representation. And I thought I was going to do Funny How Love Is. And so I started scoping out and I was planning on doing like a really peeled back doom metal version.
Nice.
But then you guys did it. And so I thought, okay, I'll do something else. And then we sort of moved and everything. And then this song had been disparaged a couple of times in passing chatter. And I thought, I don't think they've done this yet. So I'll put my hat in the ring. And I thought, and it's got that bit at the end, you know, parties to the left, parties to the right. And, you know, it's got that slightly faster version of the father to son riff, do. And then I thought, after I contacted Ian and said, I'll do Party, he said, that's great. Then I thought, hang on a second, that's actually Karaoke Ship. So I thought that would be really fun to do, but it's actually a wrong song.
This was too late then. You were committed at that point.
I was committed.
Yeah.
I'm a man of my word.
Exactly.
So they make the best of it.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed both your version and Matt's version, actually. It's always fun, I think, to do something different with it. And certainly in the course of this podcast, pretty much every song that I've thought, I'm not sure about, whenever I've tried to do it in a different way, I've always discovered that there's a really great song under there. And I just hadn't seen it before, or there's something put me off. But I don't know, was that the case with this track? Was there anything in there where you thought, you know what, if it just had a little bit of this, is there something? Is there a curtain?
I'm going to go. I'll go first before you, Tim. Here, I found nothing in this song.
Nothing.
I found nothing. It's the quickest song I've ever covered. I think, like it was, to use Ian's catchphrase, I did it in real time. I felt like I could just knock it out, and I was thinking there must be something. I suppose the sort of is quite a nice little riff, but you know, Brian chucks those things in and out of songs at will.
Yeah.
So it's not that impressive. So yeah, I didn't find anything, and it's less of a song than any song I can think of in the Queen catalogue. There's no song there.
Your version really put me in mind of MC5 Kick Out the Jams, where, I mean, that's an all-time classic hardcore song, but there's very little song to that as well. It's very similar.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There isn't. I think there's, you know, because you could argue the same thing about We Will Rock You, that there's very little song there, but the hooks are iconic. And I think that's like my main problem with Party, is that they choose to base it round a drum riff, but that drum riff is so it doesn't feel iconic. It's not like the We Will Rock You drum riff, or the one that I've kind of based mine around is the Knack.
Yes.
I was going to say,
My Sharona
I thought it
type
sounded
thing.
like that. Didn't you do another one that was a little bit similar?
Well, I did. I did Headlong in a different.
Wasn't that in a Knack style?
No, it wasn't Knack. It was.
It was more, wasn't it more Steelers Wheels?
Yeah, Steelers Wheels is. But because I was thinking, you know, the Knack. It's the groove carries that song. You know, and you think, oh my god, this is amazing straight away.
And that was,
if
that track was born out of the drums, something the drummer was playing, and they went, hang on a minute, carry on playing that, and a classic riff was born.
And you could say Party was born out of a drum riff that someone's put onto the Linn drum, you know, like, and it's gone, listen to this. It's like
default rock 2.
And the sound is horrible, plasticky, and it's just like, that is not going to carry a track. It's only going to carry a track if the song itself is absolutely epic, but I don't think it was. But then I did. I've gone first though. There, Tim. What do you reckon? What did you find?
Well, I really enjoyed the process because I'm not even approaching a professional musicianship, and so I really enjoyed the process of doing it. But did I get much out of it? Not really. Like I said, I appreciated the Freddie vocals and how he syncs up his vocals, and some of the chords and how they worked, and the was really interesting. But song wise, I don't think I got a lot out of it.
Mm. Did they ever play this live in the new setup?
No, there's nothing, and I'm sure we are the only people that have ever covered it.
I should point out that, just a disclaimer, Queen are my favourite band. I love Queen.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of that when we come to the scoring, I think. A lot of, saying this is Queen we're talking about, however.
I mean, you guys have said it before, but this is my first time here, so I just want to get that in. I don't hate Queen.
Yeah, you sort of feel like you're going along without a bulletproof vest in the sort of Somme or something. We're talking about Queen in these terms, don't you? But,
Yeah, well.
Oh, it was quite funny. Someone on Twitter mentioned the scoring and how we score often too high because we're not thinking about percentiles. And I was sort of pointing out that our scoring's probably got more and more generous as we've got more scared of our audience. So,
I mean, that is certainly true.
Yeah, it's quite funny, is that you don't want to score things badly, but it is against the Queen
It's
catalogue.
not badly or goodly, though, is it? It's
against
the Queen songs. So there are some songs, Queen songs, that are better than others. And that's what you have to. That's how we distinguish them. It's not that we don't like them.
Yeah. Well, but also I suppose you can't have a linear scale between 1 and 10 as well. It might be that there are far more 10s than any other number, so they may not be evenly distributed.
Yeah, the percentage one only works if we have to do them in order. As in, if we have it's out of 165 songs or something, and we have to place one directly above the other, so it's an even slope. But it might not be an even slope because there's going to be loads and loads of 10s, because Queen are the greatest band in the world of all time ever.
Yeah.
But I'd actually gone through a scoring process years ago. I created my own spreadsheet.
Get it online.
It is online. It is online. I've got a link if you want it.
Oh no, do yes, absolutely. Share the link.
Well, it's bit.ly/Queen album calculator.
There we go.
And so it organizes everything into your favorite albums. It automatically lists the best and worst tracks and averages everything out. And when my personal scoring, I scored from 1 to 10, but nothing got below 5 because nothing for me was a complete fail. Even the party has some things that are interesting. But I've got 46 tracks are rated 9 and above, not including the 10. So there's tons of stuff right at the top, and then there's a small section at the bottom, which is the others.
But that's okay. That's okay. It's a bit like at university, you might have a year where every student is really clever, and so they all get a first. That's fine. And Queen are that band. They are the fantastic year at university.
What's it actually calculating? What I think about it?
Well, you put in your scores, and it calculates what is your best, the album you like the best, based on the average scores.
Oh, okay. So it's to find your favorite. I kind of know my favorite album.
Well, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, and that's why I went through the process, because I thought, probably A Night at the Opera or Queen 2 is up the top, but Queen 2 is actually well down the list for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to our profile on Twitter, you can go to our link tree, which links out to our table. And Jay, your favourite album might not be your favourite album. I'll have to have a look at your scoring, and I'll tell you what your favourite.
This could turn my whole world upside down.
Well, I'll tell you now. It's Night at the Opera. It's not Sheer Heart Attack.
It's not. Something's gone wrong.
The numbers don't lie. Yeah. Anyway, shall we? As we've talked a lot about scoring, accidentally given more of a podcast on scoring than on this track, which is probably says something about this track. Shall we get on with the scores?
Let's get on with the scores on the doors. I'm happy to go first with this one to set the mood,
us off.
shall I say. This track gets 1 point.
Yeah. I'm going to follow straight in, Ian, and go, yep, I cannot think of a track that deserves 1 point more than this one.
This is the worst thing Queen ever did.
Yeah, well, Jay?
No, that's too harsh. It's too harsh. It's not a 1. I mean, you've got Freddie's great vocals. I mean, it's got energy. I mean,
Yeah, but surely every Queen's song's got Freddie's great vocal on. That's a given.
I don't know, they're raucous. You get the sense of a party. I'm feeling like I'm having to defend it now, but it's not that bad. I mean, it is
really
fun.
is, Jay. It really is.
It's fun. It's
For Queen, Jay. Remember, we're not talking about other bands.
Well, I mean, I've given it a 4, so that's 4 times better than what you've given
Why do you hate it so much, Jay?
That is low for Jay and Tim. So before we get to your score, though, we always like to get a bit of Queen context about your 10s and perhaps your some of the lower ones. So if you want to just talk us around that first before giving us your score for Party.
Sure. Well, the big hits are obviously 10s, like We the Champions, Bohemian Rhapsody, Under Pressure, all that sort of stuff.
Got some deep cuts.
Bohemian Rhapsody was also always my favourite song, but for me it's a bit overdone now. But there's still 10s. Other songs that are not the big hits, Millionaire Waltz, It's Late, 10s.
Yeah.
The other end of the scale, for me, Party isn't the worst song Queen have done.
Okay.
I think that's Delilah.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that.
Apologies to the people who love Delilah. And down the bottom, Ray Must Fall was there. And I know this is against what you guys say. I agree with most of what you say, but Body Language is right down the bottom for me.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I don't think you're alone there. I think that's it's a divisive song. That.
And I also don't like Get Down and Make Love either.
Oh, I love Forget. I tell you what, body language. I loved making. I don't think I've laughed as much ever as
laughed for the podcast.
Getting Jay's vocal for.
Well, that was when he had the builders in, wasn't
it?
Yeah. Sexy. Sorry. Yeah, no, I won't be long. Buddy.
Yeah, so they're down the bottom here.
Yeah. So for Party.
And Party, it gets a bonus point for the good things I mentioned, and that takes it to a 1.
I think that's a fair score for Party. I think that's so reasonable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's good.
It's in my bottom, 7.
I think.
But remember, this is Queen we're talking about. So
this is Queen.
Put it up against many other bands. It's still, it's still highly
better
rated.
than any. Yeah, still better than any Oasis song.
And we
this isn't better than an Oasis song.
I know, I'm just being silly because of the Oasis news.
We like Queen so much. We're such big fans of Queen that we've dedicated a whole podcast and pretty much the last 4 years of our lives to it. So if we are scoring it low, doesn't mean we don't like Queen.
Yeah, it's not like these covers are really quick.
Well, you said you did it in real time, Matt.
Well, pretty much. Well, when I say real time, I was probably up till 4 o'clock in the morning.
When I was growing up, I was the only one I knew who was obsessed with Queen, and I've met other people over the time, but I think you guys win.
Oh no,
that's not normal.
Oh no, we're not. Yeah,
I think, well, as Tony was saying, there's degrees of fandom, isn't there? So whereas we might be slightly obsessed with the mechanics of the music, there are plenty of other people there that are, more obsessed about, listening to them every day, seeing them live, watching the films.
Or looking at pictures, endlessly looking at pictures of Freddie, just endlessly looking at it, going, oh, look at him now. Or pictures of John Deacon. There's, Twitter profiles that are just pictures of John Daly Deacon, Look at how pretty, look at him, he's beautiful.
It's all degrees, but yes, the evidence would suggest we are fairly down the rabbit hole of Queen fandom, that's for sure.
Indeed.
And what a wonderful place it is to be.
It is.
And what a joy to have the two cover versions, two completely different cover versions, both of which I think are absolutely tremendous. I don't want to say that you've both improved Queen, however.
I got to say, I think
Always
Matt's
a
vocal
popular.
on that one. Matt's vocal on that one. It was incredible. I thought that was amazing.
Oh well, thanks very much. It's one of the ones that I think it's the first time I've just gone all the way through and just sang it and just hope for the best. I think it's definitely the quickest vocal I've ever done that. So maybe I should take a leaf out of Freddie's book and only ever do first take vocals from now on.
So, Tim, it's been an absolute joy to have you on. You are returning for a sneaky little extra podcast in the very near future. So, listeners, keep your ears and eyes peeled for that. It's been an absolute joy for us to have you on, and well done on the cover.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure to be here, and thanks for all you do. On behalf of all your listeners who might not get a chance to tell you, it's much appreciated everything you do.
Thanks, Tim.
Most kind.
Thank you.
Most kind. So, here are Matt's cover and Tim's cover of Party.
Everybody get ready to party. Had a good night, jamming away. There was a full moon showing. We started to play, but in the cold light of day next morning, party was over. The party was over. We got love and we got style and we got sex and I know we got what it takes. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why don't you come make a play? Come make a play. Come make a play. Come make a play. We got all night, all day. Everybody's gone away. Why don't you come back and play? Come back and play. Come back and play. Come back and play. We had a food fight in somebody's face. We were up all night singing and giving a chase, but in the cold light of day next morning, everybody was hungover. Don't you come back and play? Come back and play. Come back and play. We got all night. Everybody's gone away. We got come back and play. Come back and play. Come back and play. We got all night. Come back and play. Come back and play. We got all night, all day, all night, all day. We got come back and play. Come back, come back, come back, come back, come back, come back. Come back and play. Come back and play. Come back and play. The party is over. Thank you.
We had a good night, jamming away. There's a full moon showing. It started to play, but in the cold light of day next morning, the party was over. We got love and we got style and we got sex and I know we got what it takes. Why don't you come back and play? Come back and play. Come back and play. We got all night, all day. Everybody's gone away. Why don't you come back and play? Come back and play. We had a food fight in somebody's face. We were up all night singing and giving chase. But in the cold light of day next morning, everybody was hungover. come back and play. Goodbye, 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 the party is over.